Imagine a scenario where a 15-year-old girl was captured by men with a gun on her forehead. She is extremely scared and terrified. Now, I have a question for all of you here today. Is there anything that this little girl can do to change the world? Well, I believe most of her answers are no. We'll come back to this story later. I'm excited to share with you a concept that, though simple, holds the potential to transform the way we live, think, and act. This concept is, can we change the outer world by changing our inner world? At first glance, this may sound like a paradox. How are we able to change the outer world if we're only focused on our inner world? Isn't the outer world where all the actions is? Well, as we explore this idea today, I hope to show you that everything we see in the world around us starts within. So, let me begin with a story. Imagine yourself standing at the edge of a vast, beautiful lake. The water is calm and still, reflecting everything perfectly. Now, if a stone were thrown to that water, what happens? The calm surface ripples. Those ripples spread outward, influencing every part of the lake. The stone thrown represents our inner world, while the ripples represent how our internal states affect everything around us. The way we live, feel, and perceive ourselves creates those ripples in our world. The chaos or peace we experience, the relationships we build, or even our impacts on society all stem from how we're doing inside. But it wasn't just an abstract idea. This principle has been applied to many lives, and its true power often revealed in the most unexpected ways. So today, I'm going to be sharing you 3 real-life stories that exemplify how living from inside out can be life-changing. Now, raise your hand if you think this little boy can somehow change the world. Well, I see some hands are up, but some are clearly not. But as this little boy grew up, he changed the history of basketball. He is one of the most iconic athletes of all time, Michael Jordan. Most of us know him as a basketball legend who won 6 NBA championships with the Chicago Bulls. But his journey wasn't always as smooth as his highlight reels might suggest. In his early career, Jordan faced rejection, criticism, and doubt. He was cut from his high school basketball team, a setback that many thought would end his dreams. But he didn't let the outside world to define him. Instead, he looked inward and to reflect on his skills, his mindset, and his ultimate purpose. He made a choice to fully commit to his craft, to work tirelessly on improving, and to never let others' opinions to define his own value. It was the inner drive, the self-awareness, that makes him one of the greatest basketball players that ever lived. But it wasn't just the physical skills that set Jordan apart. His self-awareness on the court was unparalleled. He had an intuitive understanding on his emotions and mindset that could either elevate or hinder his performances. He understood that basketball, like life, is as much as about mental resilience as it is about physical strength. Jordan's story is a perfect example of the power of self-awareness. When he turned inward, honest in his strength, and believed in his potential, his external reality transformed and the world took notice. Now, let's move from sports to media, where another example of inside-out transformation can be found. Oprah Winfrey. Oprah grew up in very difficult circumstances. She faced poverty, trauma, and abuse. All challenges that could have shaped anyone's life. But what makes Oprah's journey remarkable is how she was able to cultivate her emotional intelligence, which is the ability to understand and manage her emotions and also to empathize with others. In her early career, Oprah faced several setbacks, including being fired from her job as a news anchor because her bosses believe she doesn't fit for television. Yet, instead of being crushed by the rejection, Oprah turned inward and reflects on what truly mattered to her. She knew that her calling was to connect with people on a deep emotional level, to understand their stories, and to help them find healings. Oprah's emotional intelligence became her superpower. She used her ability to empathize with others and her capacity for vulnerability to connect with millions of people. Her TV show, The Oprah Winfrey Show, wasn't just about entertainment. Instead, it was about touching lives, igniting changes, and empowering people to be the better versions of themselves. And by doing so, Oprah not only transformed her life, but also have impacted the lives of millions. Now, after sharing those two powerful stories, do you still remember the 15-year-old girl that I mentioned before? Well, the third story is about her, Malala. Malala is a symbol of resilience and courage. But her story wasn't just about surviving an attack. It was a story of profound inner transformation. At the age of 15, Malala was shot in the head by Taliban for advocating girls' education. She was just an ordinary girl from Pakistan with a dream to engage in education and also to become a voice for change. But what makes her story extraordinary is what happened inside her after the attack. Instead of succumbing to fear, anger, or hatred, Malala turned inward and to embrace her inner strength. She turned her pain into purpose. The shooting didn't break her spirit. Instead, it ignited a fire within her that makes her an even louder advocate for education, equality, and peace. She understood that real changes doesn't come from grand gestures or external pressures. It starts within. With the courage to stand up for what's right, even when the world tells you to sit down and be quiet. Now, what do these three examples have in common? They all demonstrate that true transformation doesn't come from external circumstances. It starts from the choices that we make within ourselves. Each of them face external challenges. Each of them can let those challenges to define him. But instead, they all choose to look inward and to develop their mental and emotional resilience and to align their actions with their internal value. And by doing so, they change the world around them. We often think of our lives in terms of external goals. For example, landing that perfect university, acquiring material successes, or even to achieve social approval. But what if I told you the key to live a fulfilled life doesn't lie outside of us? It's inside. Our greatest joy, transformation, and challenges all starts within. So, if you wanted to change your reality, start by looking inside. Raise your self-awareness, cultivate your emotional intelligence, and to embrace your inner strength, no matter the external circumstances. When we transform ourselves from inside out, we unlock our fullest potential. And by doing so, we inspire those around us to do the same. Thank you for listening.